Hey everyone, welcome to the E2 Effective Elders podcast. Visit us at e2elders.org and please share this good word with others.
Hey everybody, thanks for tuning in once again to the podcast of E2 Effective Elders. We are so grateful to CDF Capital for their continuing support of our ministry. They are investing in leaders literally across the country and around the world because of their investment in E2 all of these many years. We want to welcome today Seth Bryant, and Seth is a longtime friend, brother in Christ, and a very highly respected colleague of mine. Seth is the lead minister of a church in Roanoke, Virginia. Seth, how grateful we are for your time today.
Thank you so much for letting me join you.
Oh, I'm just glad you said yes. Absolutely. Hey, Seth, why don't you talk a little bit about, where you are, what you do, maybe a little bit about how our paths crossed some time ago. All right.
Yeah. As I was a student in Bible college, I came across Dr. Gary Johnson. And then in seminary, I had you as a professor. And by God's grace, I was able to work with you for many years at the Creek in Indianapolis. Gary has been a friend, a mentor, a professor, a brofessor, and everything else in between. And I'm grateful for him and his ministry. Even now, especially with E2, it's had a huge impact, not only on my life, but now the church where I serve here in Roanoke, Virginia. We have had Gary in many times. We continue to learn from you. Roanoke is a mountain town in the state of Virginia, and we're about 100,000 in population. The metro area is 300,000, right along the Appalachian Trail in the Blue Ridge Mountains. And it's a great opportunity to reach people with the gospel of Jesus.
Mm-hmm. So tell us a little bit about your family.
Yeah, I'm married, have 2 children, an 8-year-old daughter, 6-year-old son. We have a little dog, and both sets of our parents are in Roanoke. So we weren't necessarily trying to come back home. God led us this way, and we're grateful for that benefit.
Yeah, what a gift of God for you and Kelly to be so close to the folks that those grandparents can invest in such rich ways in the lives of their grandkids. Absolutely. Well, you are in year 5 in the driver's seat of the Jesus bus there at New Hope Christian Church. Talk to us a little bit about, even the name New Hope Christian Church.
Yeah, this church was started in 1953. And back then, the founders and charter members just had this sense that God was doing something new in the Roanoke Valley. And they wanted to be a part of the cutting edge of that in the 50s. And what a privilege and benefit that's been handed down over the years. I don't even know if you know this, but L.D. Campbell in the 70s was a pastor here at New Hope.
I did not know that.
That's been handed down through many ministers now to me, and I'm grateful and humbled to be able to stand on the shoulders of these incredible men that have gone before me.
Yeah, You and I have a mutual friend in Chad Monahan, and Chad often says, "We drink from a well we did not dig," and that's so true of what's going on there at New Hope. Right now, one of the reasons why we want to hear from you is, in all of 2022, we are doing this theme in our podcast called A Good Word. So many times we hear of one bad word after another in terms of people being criticized, condemned, cut down, chewed up, spit out, and people are longing to hear a good word. So in our office in Indianapolis, the E2 team sat down, we brainstormed, and we came up with a long list of good words. We pared it down to 12. And every month of 2022, we focus on a good word. And the month of April, obviously, is the word of hope. And not only do we have our hope in eternal life through the resurrection of Jesus that we celebrate this month, Easter weekend, but hope is something that we want to experience with every day that God gives to us, the breath of life. What could you share with us today? Not just your name, New Hope Christian Church from 1953, but in reality today, what does your church family pursue as a dream, as a vision for the valley there?
Yeah. So if I could give a shout out to E2 and to you, Gary, a couple of years ago, we had you guys come in and help us with rebranding, mission, vision, values. And collectively together, we came up with this phrase. Our vision is to bring hope to the valley. We realize that we live in the Roanoke Valley and our name is New Hope Christian Church, and we want to live up to our name. So that has become our vision statement, along with our mission and values that support that. So shout out to E2 and the work that you do, helping churches recast their vision, mission, values. For us in particular, we believe that this hope in the valley is twofold. It's not just that we live geographically in a valley, but we recognize people are in a valley times in the season of life, whether it's loss or grief, some kind of suffering or trial, addictions, heartache, relationship conflict. People live in valleys all the time. And we want to meet people in those places. We want to be the hands and the feet of Jesus, to have a church beyond the walls of our church where we meet people and engage them in that valley and bring them to the foot of the cross. So that truly is our vision here at New Hope.
So you've had this brand for 2 years. How's that been going for you? Talk about has that brought momentum to the church family?
Yeah, absolutely. We kicked off this with a series, and we've had in mind Ezekiel 37. That's how we started preaching about our vision. You know, there's this valley of dry bones, and prophet is told, prophesy, speak, and these bones here they come together, and the ligaments and skin are formed, and this army of bones stands up and actually comes to life with the breath of life breathed into them. And that's what we want to see. That's our vision for the valley here. And I've found this really has taken hold. I met with the director of tourism for Roanoke, and he talked about his effort to rebrand this area as Virginia's Blue Ridge. He thought that people don't want to live in a valley. Don't call this the valley, but call it Virginia's Blue Ridge. We want to get up on top, and that may be true, but we know we do live in a valley. And coming out of COVID, with all of the anger and angst, with all of the division, all of the ongoing issues that our world and our personal lives are facing, hope as much as we ever have.
Yeah, there's not only war thousands of miles away from us in Ukraine, there's war right here where we call home. And that war, you and I know, as well as many of the people who are listening to our podcast, they know that our battle is not against flesh and blood, but it's against those spiritual forces of evil in the heavenly realms. Right. And so there's conflict. And what are we looking for? It's hope in that valley. I couldn't agree with you more. So when you meet with people there in the Roanoke Valley, surrounded by the Blue Ridge Mountains, how do you then, when they want to change perspective, we want people to think of themselves on the ridge, how do you communicate then to people who might not be a believer that there really is something tangible about hope? It's not some ethereal experience. For you and for me, hope is real. Hope is alive.
Yeah, absolutely. And hope is a person. It's Jesus. And so we want to point people to Jesus in everything that we do. I would say, just really pragmatically, when I talk to people that are far from God, or some that are even former Christians or skeptical and wrestling with their faith, they tend to think of hope in this way, that it's this optimistic willing of your mind to believe something that's not necessarily grounded in reality. They think it's naive to have hope many times. But really, when you look at the biblical definition of hope, it's quite different. Elpizo is the original verb there, And it's to look expectantly. And it's knowing that God has done things in the past, and we can trust that same God for the future. So hope is this forward-facing, expectant, confident trust in the outcomes of God. So we know what God has done in the past. We know what God is currently doing right now in our midst, and we are blown away. And we trust him that will continue. And so, like Hebrews says, our faith, we look forward to what is unseen. Our faith is in God and what he will do in the future.
Yeah. And that's both Old and New Testament imagery. Isaiah 40:31, that iconic verse, those who hope in the Lord will, not maybe or perhaps, they will renew their strength, soar on wings like eagles, run, not grow weary, walk and not be faint. We have that living hope. What was living hope? Is that 1 Peter?
1 Peter 1:3.
Yeah, 1 Peter 1:3. We have this living hope in Jesus.
Yes, through the resurrection of Christ.
Yeah. If you had a closing word of encouragement to fellow preachers or individuals, leaders in churches, elders, the shepherds of the flock, what would that strong word include?
Yeah, well, I think it comes out of 1 Peter 1:3 there, that we hope in the resurrection of Jesus. That's something that he did, but it's also something he's going to do. We will be raised as Christ was raised. And so these seeds have already been planted, and new creation is bursting forth all around us. Even in the midst of the broken world, there is life because of Jesus. And we get to participate with God in that. From now until the time when he fully redeems us, we get to see the hope that we have.
A whole new world, a new earth, a home of righteousness, as Peter calls it. Yeah, that's cool. Well, listen, buddy, we are so grateful for you. I wish we could clone you and Kelly. And so many churches are aching for good leadership today. And you have just answered God's call on your life. You have learned so well. You're still a consummate learner. And you have a real humble heart. You're a humble lead servant of Jesus. And we truly are grateful for you very much.
Thank you so much. It means the world.
Yeah. And we look forward to being back your way in a few months.
Yeah, I look forward to that as well.
All right. Blessings to you, Seth. Make sure you tell Kelly and the church family our greetings, okay?
Yeah, absolutely. God bless.